in court, then have his attorney, Justin Carver, represent him. He claims that his attorney was inefficient and was prejudiced towards him. Judge Crane finally did grant him the permission to represent himself in downtown Columbia. Now, are you someone who parks in a parking garage? Because if you do, it's now going to cost you 60 cents an hour. And if you want to park in any of these on-street parking meters, come May 2nd, it's now going to cost you. The city of Joplin has already suffered enough, and as you can see, it's total destruction and debris all around me in this area. And as people have been coming around here today to go through their debris, what is left of that right now is probably already going to be ruined by the rain. Serious allegations of fraud, waste, or abuse. Schweik says this program will allow the state to go immediately into those agencies. He was one of the first people to get to ground zero within a half hour after the president's announcement to pass a bill that will reauthorize the existence of this program. If they don't, 200,000 people will watch their plans expire. What's important for the public to realize is that if the city approves the land purchase on Monday night, that means they'll also be approving parking rate increases. A majority of the $42.5 million here is going to be used to build the new Battle High School.
This winter storm is even keeping some emergency refuge places from opening the door.
I'm outside the Salvation Army Harbor House, one of about a dozen or so places in Columbia that considers itself a warming center. These centers serve as places for people to be able to go and seek shelter when the weather gets really bad like this. Well, in this extreme weather situation, about 4 of these centers are actually closing their doors tonight and will for the duration of the storm. The city says it's a matter of safety, trying to get people off the roads and having enough staff to be able to keep the facilities up and running. Other cities also have facilities, warming centers like these in Jefferson City and Fulton. If you want to find out which ones are open, you can call 211. Here at Harbor House, it is one of those centers that will be up and running for the long run, and throughout the night I have seen people coming and going who want to stay out of the cold. I did talk with the project regional coordinator, Kendall Matthews, who says they are prepared for the long haul here.
Sort of self-containing ourselves to be prepared for the extreme. We have enough food and enough personal items to shelter people for at least 10 days.
I did speak with a couple who is staying here tonight. They are stranded as a result of the storm and the weather cancellations. They had tickets as part of the Greyhound bus to Kansas City, but they won't be able to make it there, and they do have shelter here tonight. They do suggest and to everyone who is stranded in this storm to seek help because it is out there tonight for you. Reporting live in Columbia, Lisa Hart, KOMU 8 News. A community united. Bowling for John. A team effort. Team John, that is, that started almost 2 years ago in June when John Thoman took a fall down a cement staircase that caused major bleeding in his brain.
I had a traumatic brain injury.
The Thoman family then endured a wild roller coaster. 8 months, 4 different hospitals around St. Louis, waiting for John to wake up.
Part of my son did die. We've lost the old John. We have a new John. It's a new way of life, it's a new attitude, it's a new challenge.
Joe is now John's primary caretaker, a job that requires round-the-clock care.
Being a caretaker is very difficult. John was 19 when this happened. We raised him once. We didn't have to raise him again. He had to learn how to walk, talk, breathe, eat.
As John's condition improved, the Thomans quickly found out living outside of Jefferson City wasn't the ideal location for a brain injury survivor and his family.
We are the only agency of this type, a charity of this type, that provides a continuum of services for people with brain injuries. There's nothing in Central Missouri.
The Center for Head Injury Services in St. Louis is the closest facility to Central Missouri that meets the long-term cognitive and pre-vocational needs of traumatic brain injury survivors. Rusk Rehabilitation Center in Columbia does offer a brain rehabilitation program, but it's insurance-based and only designed for survivors shortly after their injury. Patients at Rusk eventually get discharged and look for a place to get continued long-term care. The Center for Head Injury Services meets this need. It's possible that with the center's specialized services, someone like John, who survived a brain injury and at one time couldn't see a day past a hospital bed or is confined to a wheelchair or a cane, can one day be walking again and have the chance to live somewhat of an independent life. At the center, John could learn skills that can hopefully get him driving again one day, get a job, re-enter society. He needs to start now.
It really takes time for people to regain skills and get their life back. Now, they may not be able to go back to what they did before, but, we give them some hope.
But for right now, Central Missouri will have to wait to see any of that hope. According to Gunning, Missouri has dropped into the lower 25 states for brain injury services, and funding for a new center is low.
It's difficult in Missouri. It's a very small funding source in Missouri.
But a lack of funding won't stop Joe Thumman from giving his son a second chance at life.
It's what needs to be done. Simple as that. Obviously, our situation warrants that we do something. We can't keep going this way, and this is an option we have. St. Louis has been a great facility for others, and Central Missouri needs the place.
The goal, bring a replica of the St. Louis Center to Jefferson City, starting with a day program. The required startup fee, $60,000, which the Thomans have to raise on their own. They already have $20,000 and a long way to go.
Hope so. I'm sure it will. But I hope and pray that we can get one opened up in Jeff City.
The center won't just be a place of rehabilitation for the survivors.
A brain injury doesn't just happen to the person, it happens to the whole family.
But a resource for their families as well. Lisa Hart, KOMU 8 News, Jefferson City. Columbia School Board member Ina Seeger says she did her research after hearing a presentation last month about a new literature series.
And there's just absolutely no evidence that this will improve our performance, and any evidence that we've been given shows that it's going to decrease performance.
When she looked over the information studied in other school districts, she found that the Pearson materials were never implemented until 2009, not 2008. She also found data that showed achievement actually decreased, not increased, and none of the schools have similar demographics to Columbia, which has a much larger number of black students compared to almost none in the other schools. The board voted 4-3 to approve the materials at last month's board meeting. Siegert wants the board to revisit the issue. Despite the evidence against using the books, the new literature series is already approved and purchased and could be in Columbia Public Schools as soon as the next school year. Columbia Public School Administration says it remains confident in its decision. The chief academic officer said in a statement, "These materials are aligned with our curriculum objectives and will support our teachers in structuring language arts instruction for our students." The administration is already working with Pearson Publishing Company. Lisa Hart, KOMU 8 News, Columbia.
Thank you.
When Sergeant Chris Ruff's father-in-law heard an ad for a veteran to build his own house, he encouraged him to apply.
It's still unbelievable that we actually got picked and that we built a house and that soon we'll be living in it.
With $60,000 from the VA Mortgage Center, construction was really moving. The goal? Finish in time for Veterans Day. Ruff and his wife, Ann, rolled up their sleeves to make the deadline. Chris and Ann worked every Friday and Saturday to get this 3-bedroom, 2-bath house ready by Veterans Day. Now with keys in hand, the Ruffs take over mortgage payments. Along with the house, Ruff picked up a 1-year free membership to the VFW.
What we try to do is we're trying to bring in a lot of the younger veterans from Iraq and Afghanistan and see what the VFW has to offer them. After 2 deployments and living apart for the most part of their marriage, it looks like this veteran and his wife will finally have a place to call home. Lisa Hart, KOMU 8 News, Columbia.